She was kicked out of the house by her husband. Not knowing what to do, he decided to live in an old abandoned house until Mariana was in an old house in the countryside, watching the sun rise behind the distant hills, a scene that had not been part of her busy and tumultuous life for a long time. It was a September morning, and the soft light of dawn bathed the landscape in golden and pink tones. The air was cool and light, in marked contrast to the tension that had marked his recent days. She leaned against the kitchen window, where old glass and wooden frames seemed to have a story to tell. The fields stretched out in a green expanse, dotted with small wildflowers that swayed in the breeze. The house, a construction of aged bricks and ceramics, exuded a feeling of solidity and tranquility that Mariana had not experienced for some time. It had been a week since she and her daughter, Sophia, had moved into this refuge that had once been her grandmother Aurora's home. The move was a leap into the unknown, but also a gesture of hope. The contrast between his previous life and this new beginning was as palpable as the difference between the hustle and bustle of the big city and the serenity of the countryside. Observing through the window, Mariana continued to think about how radically her life had changed. The failed marriage, marked by disagreements and constant humiliation, seemed almost like an existence from another life to her. It had been a time of pain and loneliness, when each day felt like a heavy burden. But now Aurora's old house offered a glimpse of peace and the promise of a new beginning. Even in the most difficult moments, the memory of summers spent at his grandmother's house was a relief from his wounds. Mariana remembered the sunny afternoons when she ran around the garden, as well as the smiles and laughter shared with Aurora, a figure of love and support in her childhood. Those memories were a precious part of who she was, and being back in that place was like opening an old book and finding a passage that held a power of comfort. However, the pain of losing Aurora almost 2 years earlier was still present. Grandmother's absence was felt in every corner of the house, in every object she left behind. It was a pain that Mariana knew would take time to heal, but it was also a pain that she was willing to face. This place, with all its emotional charge, seemed to offer an opportunity to rebuild his life and, perhaps, heal the deepest wounds of his soul. Sophia, his daughter, was even more excited about the change. For her, the old house was a new adventure, a place where simply running around the garden and exploring the surroundings seemed to promise happiness. Mariana watched her daughter with a mixture of pride and concern. She hoped Sophia would find joy in this new home, even as she struggled to find her own balance between past and present. As the sun continued to rise in the sky, Mariana felt a faint smile form on her lips. It was a new sensation, like a timidly lit hope. The countryside, with its soothing colors and sounds, seemed to welcome the new chapter of their lives. Aurora's old house was more than a residence. It was an opportunity for a new beginning, and Mariana was determined to make it a home not just for herself, but for Sophia as well. One morning, the soft sound of crying woke Mariana from her interrupted sleep. She got up with a slight stretch and headed towards Sophia's room. The morning light filtering through the flowery curtains cast a soft glow on the room. Mariana found her daughter in the crib, with her little arms stretched out and her little red face expressing her dissatisfaction with the world in which she had just woken up. With a tired but loving sigh, Mariana took Sophia in her arms and hugged her affectionately, feeling the comforting warmth of her small, fragile body against her chest. It was a tender moment that, despite life's challenges, always had the power to calm his restless thoughts. Walking in slow circles, she tried to calm her daughter as she thought about the morning routine that awaited her. While preparing Sophia's bottle, Mariana also made herself a cup of coffee, enjoying the strong aroma that, for a brief moment, seemed to offer a small comfort. Sitting at the small kitchen table, she watched the countryside through the window, thinking about the winding path that had brought her here. Her marriage to Leandro, which in its early days seemed to have all the promise of a bright future, had deteriorated after Sophia's birth. At first, moving to Leandro's parents' house was considered a temporary solution, a way to get support and comfort while they adjusted to the new family dynamic. However, what was supposed to be a passing stage turned into an emotional prison for Mariana. The space that should have been a refuge quickly became a constant reminder of the expectations and pressures surrounding her. Leandro's parents' house was spacious, but the feeling of being constantly under surveillance and the lack of privacy became exhausting. The presence of her in-laws and the constant interference in her daily life increased the feeling of confinement. Leandro, who initially seemed to be a source of support, became increasingly distant. His physical presence was constant, but his emotional absence and lack of empathy were palpable. Discussions about Mariana's lack of autonomy and her position in his parents' house intensified. Leandro often minimized her concerns, as if her discomfort were a minor issue or even a nuisance. When Sophia was born, Mariana decided to dedicate herself to caring for her daughter, believing that this would be the best for both of them. However, this decision, paradoxically, intensified her feeling of dependence and voicelessness. Choosing to stay at home, rather than providing a sense of fulfillment, amplified their isolation. The lack of support and understanding from Leandro and his family made each day an even greater burden. The morning was heavy, filled with gray clouds that seemed to reflect Mariana's internal turmoil. The argument with Leandro had escalated to a breaking point that she had not anticipated. The words exchanged were sharp and cutting, and the desperation in his voice was palpable. Frustrated and out of patience, he demanded a divorce, an ultimatum that resonated like a deep blow in Mariana's heart. Mariana felt the pressure of an abrupt decision. Amidst the chaos, she gathered some hastily packed bags, packing only the essentials. Her mind was confused, the future seemed uncertain, and the pain of a broken dream was mixed with the fear of the unknown. Without a clear destination, she left the house where so many difficult moments had been experienced, and each step on the cold sidewalk seemed to echo a feeling of helplessness. It was the calm and comforting voice of his mother, Dona Esther, who, even in the midst of despair, brought an unexpected suggestion. Mariana's mother, with the calm tone and wisdom of someone who had already faced her own storms, suggested that she go to grandmother Aurora's house. "The house has been abandoned for years," her mother said, "but maybe it's the place you need to start over." The idea of returning to her grandmother's house seemed like a glimmer of hope in the midst of darkness. While the prospect of an uninhabited, dilapidated house wasn't exactly a dream of a fresh start, it was also a place that held fond memories. Mariana had spent summers there as a child, in simpler and happier times. It was a safe haven that still existed, even if in precarious conditions. When she arrived at her grandmother's house, Mariana was faced with a sight that seemed both familiar and strange. The old building was visibly worn out by time. The brick walls, which had once been a vibrant red, were now covered in a thick layer of dust and dirt. The garden, once a vibrant space of flowers and life, was overgrown with weeds and overgrown bushes. The simple act of entering the house was a challenge. The doors creaked and the wooden floor was covered in a thick layer of dust. Each step caused a cloud of particles to float into the air, and Mariana had to open the windows to let light in and fresh air to circulate. The house was silent, an echo of loneliness that seemed to amplify Mariana's own sense of loss and disorientation. She placed Sophia in the makeshift crib she had made from an old wooden box her grandmother used to store clothes. Mariana's attentive gaze wandered around the dusty rooms, and she began to make a mental list of things that needed repair. The ceiling was covered in cobwebs, and the kitchen, which must once have been the warm heart of the house, was filled with rusty utensils and a thick layer of dust. As Sophia slowly fell asleep, Mariana sat on the living room floor, hugging her knees. Grandma's house, although in ruins, seemed to offer a kind of silent embrace, as if it had been waiting for her arrival. There was a sense of nostalgia, mixed with a sense of hard work ahead. Night came, and although the house was far from a perfect home, Mariana felt a small pang of relief. Being back in that space, even in its deteriorated condition, offered an opportunity to reflect and perhaps find a new path. With Sophia by her side and the challenge of restoring the house before her, Mariana felt that, despite the difficulties, there was a small glimmer of hope for a new beginning. Returning to the present, as the coffee cooled on the table and the aroma of the bottle filled the kitchen, Mariana felt a renewed determination. The old house, now her new home, was full of memories and promises. It was time to create a new chapter, one where she could find peace and, finally, some freedom. Despite the obvious difficulties, Mariana was determined to transform Grandmother Aurora's old house into a home again. From the moment she entered the house, the weight of abandonment and deterioration seemed overwhelming, but the calm presence of Sophia, who seemed to adapt well to her new surroundings, brought a sense of optimism to her journey. With each passing day, Mariana worked to clean and organize the space, determined to restore a little of what was once a welcoming refuge in her childhood. The work was exhausting. There was so much to do. Dust off the windows, clean the dirt-covered floor, and repair small flaws that time and carelessness had caused. Every corner of the house seemed to require renovation, but Mariana didn't let herself be discouraged. Instead, she found motivation in the sight of Sophia playing in the small, clean space she had managed to prepare. Her daughter's laugh, even in a far from perfect environment, was a constant reminder that she was on the right path. On the third day, while exploring the attic in search of cleaning materials and tools that could help with the work, Mariana found an old dusty box, hidden behind some boxes of old books. The simple act of opening the box brought a sense of anticipation and curiosity. Inside was a collection of old photos and letters, carefully wrapped in aged paper. With shaking hands, Mariana took out the first photos. Among them, she saw images of herself as a child, running around the garden on sunny days, with a beaming smile on her face. Aurora was by his side, always with a look of love and patience. Each photo was a fragment of a happier time, capturing moments of innocence and joy. The sight of Aurora, in particular, brought tears to Mariana's eyes. The longing and pain of loss mixed with the sweet nostalgia of those past moments. While examining the photos, Mariana also found some letters, written in Aurora's elegant and careful handwriting. The words were full of wisdom and encouragement. In one of the letters, Aurora had written, "Life is made up of ups and downs. The important thing is to keep your head up and never lose hope. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow and learn." These words were like a balm to Mariana's soul, offering her a new sense of purpose. Aurora's voice seemed to resonate through the written words, providing comfort and strength in the darkest of times, as if her grandmother was saying she was there, if only in spirit, to guide her through the difficulties. After spending time absorbed in her grandmother's memories and words of wisdom, Mariana prepared Sophia for bed. With her daughter now snuggled in her crib, Mariana decided she needed a moment of calm for herself. She sat on the front porch of the house, which had begun to be cleaned but still retained a certain rustic charm. The night was peaceful, with the soft sound of crickets and the starry sky providing a peaceful backdrop. There, on the balcony, with the cool afternoon breeze caressing her face, Mariana felt a spark of hope for the first time since her arrival. The cherished memories of her childhood, now tangible through photos and letters, and Aurora's advice renewed her resolve. She felt that, despite the adversities, There was a way forward, and that place, which had once been a safe haven, could become a home again. The feeling of hope, however small, was enough to light up her heart and propel her into the future. The next morning, the sun rose with a soft light that seemed to signal a new beginning. Mariana decided it was time to tackle one more aspect of her new home: the old mailbox that stood at the end of the stone path. The ancient box, covered in a layer of rust, looked like a relic of days gone by, but the simple act of opening the lid held the promise of new discoveries. With a rusty key, which she found in the kitchen drawer, Mariana unlocked the mailbox and found a pile of old letters and documents, all yellowed with age. It was as if the box had been a time capsule, holding memories and correspondence that had been forgotten. Among the papers, an envelope caught his attention. The envelope was sealed with an old seal and had her grandmother Aurora's name written in elegant and carefully done calligraphy. Mariana felt a pang of curiosity and apprehension as she held the envelope, with a slight tremor in her hands. She broke the seal and removed the contents, finding a formal letter from a lawyer. The letter was dated years ago and was signed by a local lawyer, who informed about a private investment made by Aurora. The lawyer explained that, in Mariana's name, Aurora had set aside a considerable fund, intended to guarantee her well-being and that of her future children. The money, according to the lawyer, was available to be accessed as soon as Mariana became aware of the existence of the fund. Mariana read the letter several times, trying to process the information that seemed almost surreal. The content was clear and direct. Aurora had planned and invested to ensure that Mariana had a secure financial foundation, something she could access in times of need. The gesture, although late, was an unexpected gift from her grandmother, a last act of love and concern that transcended time. As Mariana reread the words of the letter, memories of conversations with Aurora came back to her mind. She remembered conversations about the importance of being independent, having financial security, and building a solid future. Aurora had always been a source of wisdom and encouragement, and this letter was an extension of that support. The revelation of the financial fund was an unexpected relief. Constant worry about finances had been one of the many sources of stress in his life. Knowing that Aurora had foreseen and prepared financial support for her was a deep comfort, as if her grandmother was saying that, even in her physical absence, she was still there to ensure that Mariana had the opportunity to get back on her feet and build a better life. After reading the contents for the last time, Mariana held the letter with a feeling of gratitude. She was aware that although there was much work ahead to restore the house and rebuild her life, this discovery offered a new perspective. Aurora's financial support not only provided a solid foundation, but also symbolized the unconditional love and concern her grandmother had always had for her. With a new purpose, Mariana kept the letter carefully. From that moment on, she felt that despite the challenges, she was equipped with additional strength. Aurora's gift was a reminder that love and support know no boundaries of time and space, and that even in adversity, there is always a light that can guide the way. The next day, Mariana prepared for a new chapter in her journey. With confidence renewed by the discovery of Aurora's pension, she decided to visit the bank mentioned in the letter. The relief of knowing that there was a solid financial foundation available to her was almost palpable, and Mariana was eager to understand the extent of that security. Leaving Sofia in the care of Dona Esther, who was more than happy to help, Mariana headed to the bank. The atmosphere was formal but welcoming, with dark wooden walls and helpful staff. After being seen, she was taken to a private room, where a bank representative, a man with a serious and professional expression, began to explain the details of the pension. The representative's words were clear. Aurora's private pension was substantial and offered an opportunity for financial stability that Mariana had never imagined. The fund included an amount that would not only cover immediate expenses, but also provide long-term security. The news brought a wave of emotions to Mariana, and tears of relief and gratitude ran down her face as she took in the magnitude of what she had received. With the certainty that she had a guaranteed financial future, Mariana returned home with new determination. With the pension money, she could finally tackle the task of restoring the house properly. The first step would be to hire professionals to carry out the necessary repairs. Although she trusted the experts to handle the structural and electrical issues, Mariana decided to be actively involved in every detail of the renovation process. She spent hours choosing paint colors, opting for soft, welcoming tones that reflected the tranquility she wanted to create for Sophia. The new furniture was selected with care, and each piece was chosen to provide comfort and functionality. Mariana wanted the house to be more than just a shelter. She wanted it to be a home where Sophia could grow up happy and safe. In the following weeks, even the garden, which had previously been overgrown with weeds and untended, underwent a remarkable transformation. Mariana worked alongside the gardeners to revitalize the space, planting colorful flowers and creating a small vegetable garden. The idea was not only to beautify the environment, but also to provide a safe and stimulating space for the daughter's childhood. The vibrant flowers and fresh vegetables brought new life to the garden, and Sophia loved exploring the space, learning to walk among the plants and helping to water the flowers. As the renovation continued, Mariana felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Every little change and improvement in the house was a reflection of her determination and love for her daughter. She spent hours organizing and adjusting each room, imagining what life would be like there, with Sophia growing up in this revitalized environment. The house, which was once dilapidated and desolate, was transforming into a welcoming and vibrant home. The feeling of having a future and the opportunity to create a safe and loving environment for Sophia brought a new level of satisfaction and hope for Mariana. The journey hadn't been easy, but with Aurora's help, she was finding a way to rebuild her life and create a new beginning for herself and her daughter. Giving way to a new confidence, the fear and insecurity that had dominated his life in recent times began to dissipate. Every newly painted wall, every carefully chosen piece of furniture, and every flower planted in the garden seemed to be a step towards a brighter future. Mariana felt like she was rebuilding her life in a way she had never imagined, and this change in her environment was reflecting an even deeper change within herself. With the weight of past difficulties beginning to lift, Mariana began to think seriously about the future. The new financial stability provided by Aurora's pension had opened doors that had previously seemed insurmountable. She began to make plans and consider possibilities that had previously seemed like distant dreams. One of the thoughts that began to come to fruition was the idea of going back to school. Psychology was a field that had always fascinated her, and now seemed like the perfect time to explore that passion. Mariana remembered conversations with Aurora about the importance of education and personal growth. Resuming her studies would not only allow her to pursue a deep interest, but it could also offer a new career path and a path to self-fulfillment. Furthermore, the idea of opening a small guest house emerged as an exciting possibility. The natural beauty of the region, with its green hills and peaceful countryside, had incredible potential to attract visitors. Mariana imagined transforming her grandmother's house into a welcoming refuge for tourists, offering them the same feeling of peace and comfort that she had found there. This idea would not only take advantage of the stunning setting, but also allow her to work from home, balancing family life with a new professional endeavor. Thus, the vision of the future began to take shape in Mariana's mind, bringing with it a renewed sense of purpose. The ability to dream and plan for the future was something she hadn't felt in a long time. The house, now a vibrant and welcoming home, was a tangible reflection of the changes taking place within it. With these new plans in mind, Mariana felt motivated to continue the work of revitalizing the home, knowing that each effort was setting the stage for a brighter future. She approached every detail of the renovation with new energy, seeing not only the work itself but also the promise of new beginnings and opportunities. Mornings were now filled with optimism and anticipation. As Sophia explored the revitalized garden and played happily among the flowers, Mariana felt inspired to create a future that was as beautiful and welcoming as the home she was building. The transformation of the house was not just a physical change, but also a symbol of the inner transformation that was empowering her to follow her dreams and build a new chapter in her life. Some time later, the sunny day was radiant and the garden of Aurora's house vibrated with new life. Mariana and Sophia were lying on the cool grass, surrounded by colorful flowers and the soft buzzing of bees. Sophia, with a charming smile, was trying to catch a butterfly that was flying from flower to flower. Mariana watched with a deep sense of peace as her daughter enjoyed the vibrant new landscape she had helped create. Mariana's cell phone, which was resting on the garden table, suddenly rang, interrupting the serene moment. She got up and answered, without waiting long, as she wasn't expecting any important calls. To his surprise, the voice on the other end was Leandro's. The hesitation in his voice was evident, and the tone seemed to mix regret with a hint of desperation. "Mariana, it's Leandro," he said, clearly nervous. "I was thinking about you. How are you? I miss Sophia." The mention of Sophia made Mariana's heart sink. She wanted to scream, wanted to express all the pain and frustration she had felt over the past few weeks. But as she looked at Sophia, laughing and marveling at the butterfly, a wave of calm enveloped her. The anger and hurt that had once consumed her were beginning to dissolve, replaced by an unexpected serenity. Mariana took a deep breath, trying to gather her words with clarity and composure. "We're fine, Leandro," she replied, with a calm and controlled tone. "Sophia is growing up fast. She is very happy here." There was silence on the other end of the line, and Mariana knew that Leandro was searching for words to respond, perhaps trying to find a way to justify or explain his absence. However, Mariana had already made her decision. The pain she had felt was beginning to transform into a greater and calmer understanding, and she knew that it was no longer necessary to carry that weight. "If you want," she continued, "you can visit her one day." Even so, the truth was that Mariana doubted that Leandro would really fulfill the offer. It was more a gesture of his own freedom and his ability to move forward without bitterness. She knew that for Leandro, the distance and obstacles would be too great to overcome. After a brief exchange of words, the call ended. Mariana put the phone back on the table and returned to the garden, where Sophia was still enchanted by the butterfly. She sat down next to her daughter and allowed herself a moment of silent reflection. The feeling of calm that had replaced the anger was strange, but at the same time, deeply liberating. Mariana felt that she had reached a point of balance in her life, a place where the pain of the past no longer dominated her present. Looking at Sophia playing and smiling, she understood that true power was in letting go and creating a future full of love and positivity. She bent down and hugged Sophia, feeling her daughter's contagious joy and the comfort of the new home they had built together. The garden, with its vibrant flowers and the joyful sound of a butterfly, seemed to reflect Mariana's inner transformation. Life was showing more promise every day, and Mariana was ready to embrace each new opportunity with an open heart and without the weight of past hurts. After the conversation with Leandro, Mariana felt the need to reconnect with the moment and with the new sense of peace she was experiencing. The garden, which had become a symbol of her journey of renewal, seemed like the ideal place to reflect and find comfort. She bent down and sat down on the soft grass, gently pulling Sophia into her lap. The warmth of her small body and the sweetness of her daughter's presence enveloped her in a comforting hug. Mariana took a deep breath and looked around, observing the flowers that were beginning to bloom and the plants that she had carefully cultivated. The vibrant colors and renewed life of the garden were a reflection of the internal change taking place within her. Feeling the need to share something meaningful with Sophia, Mariana decided to pass on one of the valuable lessons that Aurora had taught her. "You know, my love," said Mariana, stroking Sophia's hair and looking into her daughter's curious eyes. "Your great-grandmother Aurora used to tell me that life is like a garden. Sometimes we need to uproot some plants so that others can grow. But if we are patient and take good care of the garden, there will always be beautiful flowers to bring us joy." Sophia looked at her mother with her big eyes, which sparkled with genuine understanding. It was as if, even at her young age, she realized the truth in her mother's words. The smile on Sophia's face was touchingly simple, and her attentive gaze seemed to absorb every word, with the innocence and wisdom that only a child can have. At that moment, Mariana felt a wave of tenderness when she saw Sophia's smile. It was a smile that reflected purity and hope, a reminder that, despite past difficulties, there was something beautiful and essential in the present. Aurora's lesson about the need for patience and care to cultivate beauty was something that Mariana now saw clearly and practically. The metaphor of the garden was alive in her everyday life, and she felt a deep connection to the legacy of wisdom her grandmother had left behind. As the gentle breeze from the garden caressed her face, Mariana allowed herself a moment of tranquility. The feeling of being there, with Sophia in her arms and the garden blooming around her, was a reminder that life is constantly growing and changing. There were challenges, yes, but there was also beauty and possibilities. That night, after putting Sophia to sleep, Mariana went to the balcony, her nighttime refuge. The balcony, lit only by the soft light of the moon and the stars that were beginning to shine, was the place where she found a moment of tranquility and reflection after a day full of activities. Mariana settled down in one of the comfortable chairs, wrapped in a light blanket, and looked up at the starry sky. The stars were particularly bright that night, scattered like tiny points of light across a vast blanket of black. The serene and majestic sky seemed to reflect Mariana's state of mind. She allowed herself a moment of contemplation, taking in the tranquil beauty and marveling at the change that had occurred in her life. The last few months have brought a remarkable transformation. The house, previously marked by deterioration and abandonment, now stood as a symbol of renewal. Each room restored, each personal touch added, was a testament to Mariana's effort and dedication to creating a warm and safe home for her and Sophia. The change in the house was not just physical, but also a reflection of its own metamorphosis. The insecurity and fear that had once dominated his life were dissipating, giving way to a new confidence and a feeling of control over his future. Mariana felt a deep peace, something she hadn't experienced in years. It was a peace that came not only from the unexpected financial stability provided by Aurora's fund, but also from the realization that she had rebuilt her life with strength and determination. The flourishing garden, the revived memories, and the new sense of purpose were all intertwined, creating a picture of happiness and fulfillment. Aurora's presence seemed to surround her in every moment, through the memories and legacy her grandmother had left. Mariana could almost feel her grandmother at her side, like a gentle, protective spirit, guiding her and offering comfort. Aurora always had a special way of making everything clearer, of making Mariana see beyond the difficulties and realize the beauty and importance of patience and perseverance. As the night breeze caressed her face and the stars twinkled above, Mariana felt a deep sense of gratitude. Aurora's constant presence, through the memories and lessons she imparted, provided a foundation of love and security that was a true gift. It was as if Aurora was telling her, through the cosmos and memories, that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Absorbing the moment, Mariana leaned back in her chair. The feeling of being at peace with the past and optimistic about the future was a profound relief. She knew the journey was far from over, but she felt equipped with the strength and clarity needed to face whatever came next. The starry nights on the porch, the sky that seemed to stretch endlessly, and the feeling of being enveloped by her grandmother's love and guidance were little reminders that she was on the right path. With a sigh of contentment, Mariana closed her eyes for a moment and let herself be enveloped by the serenity of the night. The future was uncertain, but the present was full of possibilities and a simple, true beauty. With Sophia sleeping peacefully inside the house and Aurora's legacy as a constant guide, Mariana felt that she had finally found a place of peace and hope, where love and security could thrive and grow. Thus, the following months were a period of intense activity and transformation for Mariana. Each day brought new challenges and new opportunities, and she dedicated herself with determination to improving the house and planning its future. The renovation of the country house, with its flourishing garden and welcoming atmosphere, became the perfect reflection of her personal journey. The hard work resulted in a home that not only offered comfort, but also symbolized the new life Mariana was building with Sophia. With the financial security provided by Aurora's pension, Mariana began to focus seriously on her plans for the future. She had the opportunity to resume her studies, something that had always been a deep desire. Psychology, a field that had fascinated her since her youth, became the focus of her academic planning. She signed up for online courses and began studying at her own pace, which not only engaged her intellectually but also filled her with a sense of purpose and accomplishment. Studying provided Mariana with a new perspective and the promise of a future that could combine her passion with a fulfilling career. Furthermore, the idea of opening a small inn was still part of his plans. The house, with its unique features and the surrounding natural environment, had enchanting potential to become a haven for tourists in search of tranquility and beauty. Mariana began drafting plans and doing research on how to turn her vision into reality. The garden, with its vibrant flowers and productive vegetable garden, would provide the perfect setting for a guest house, creating a welcoming environment for visitors and an additional source of income for your family. In turn, Sophia was adapting wonderfully to her new environment. She grew up healthy and happy, surrounded by Mariana's affection and attention. The garden, once a renovation project, was now a space where Sophia explored and played, developing her own happy memories. Mariana could see the joy in her daughter's eyes, and that was an invaluable reward for all the effort she had made. Sophia seemed to bloom, just like the plants in the garden, reflecting the serenity and happiness that her new home provided. Mariana felt with renewed clarity that she had finally found a place where she could truly be happy and feel fulfilled. The house was not just a shelter, but a symbol of their strength and resilience. Every renewed corner, every flower that bloomed, and every laugh Sophia had were testimonies that her life had changed for the better. And so, every day, when the sun set over the field and the stars began to shine in the sky, Mariana allowed herself a moment of reflection and gratitude. She had transformed her life and Sophia's in profound and meaningful ways. With the future shining before her, Mariana was ready to embrace each new opportunity with an open heart, knowing that she had finally found the home and happiness she had been searching for.